for it? I don't think they did. And remember, this is a franchise that has really struggled getting a feature wide receiver. They have swung and missed on a lot of guys like Reggie Williams and Matt Jones, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll wait and see. That's not official who they pick, but they have made that trade with the Buccaneers, going 7-5.
And of course, Jacksonville now will take Justin Blackmon. That sets up St. Louis to choose between Morris Claiborne and Fletcher Cox. And that leaves Tampa at number 7 with an extra 4th-round pick. Boom.
All right, well, it didn't take long for people to move around. And by the way, well, we'll do Minnesota first and then get to the Florida teams, all of whom will be drafting in the first 8, all of whom have new coaches. But now it's the Vikings' turn.
With the 4th pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Matt Kalil, tackle, USC.
Well, once upon a time, this early in the draft, from the same school, oddly enough, that would be 1968, the Vikings drafted a young man by the name of Ron Yary, who became a Pro Bowl left tackle. Fran Tarkenton and Joe Kapp. They're hoping that he can be close. Matt Kalil.
Well, they really didn't have much of a choice. They lost both their guards, Herrera and Hutchinson. They need help at left tackle since McKinney left. But here's a scouting report on Kalil. He's an outstanding athlete. His combine was rare. He can really recover. If he ever gets in trouble, that athleticism bails him out. What's really impressive is the way this kid pulls and can really be a factor on toss sweeps and screen passes. The only thing we don't see enough of is power, particularly in the lower body. He's not stressed a lot on film at USC, where he's one-on-one against a great pass rusher. They do a lot of down blocking, gap blocking, safe protection, naked bootlegs. You never really see Matt Kalil in a stressed situation against a great rusher, but he's very athletic, and it's certainly a position of need for the Vikings.
And I think the fact that you're protecting the blind side at USC of Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley had a phenomenal year. He's going to be a high pick next season coming out of USC, and he didn't get touched coming off that blind side by any of the defensive ends that Matt Kalil went up against. If you go back to that Arizona State game, which USC lost, it was pressure coming from the other side, not against Matt Kalil. You look at this kid, 6'6.5". 305 pounds. You think about a kid who has a lot of experience, even though you're coming out early. He's got good bloodlines with Ryan Kalil, his brother, the center with the Carolina Panthers. Look at this kid, the punch, the footwork, balance and pass protection. Not a great bender. I think he's got the work on that. He'll get coached up in the NFL in that regard. Just 30 reps at the combine, so he has the kind of strength you're looking for. I didn't think he had the elite grade, the elite ability of some of the guys like Jonathan Ogden, Tony Baselli, Joe Thomas. You go back to Orlando Pace when he came out, even a Chris Samuels. But when you think about who's available this year, he was certainly one of the top players. And for a team that is in a division where you got to score points, and I think it came down to whether you take Kalil, do you take a Morris Claiborne, do you take a Blackmon? The bottom line is they felt like, okay, we got 3 great quarterbacks in this division. We got to make Christian Ponder have a fighting chance. That's why they went for the left tackle over the cornerback, who you could have made a great argument to take Morris Claiborne out of LSU.
Of course, Kalil's brother Ryan, the starting center of the Carolina Panthers. Let me go to you quickly, Coach. To Christian Ponder, knowing that at least half the season, no Adrian Peterson, can he be it for the Vikings in years forward?
I hope so. They desperately need their bell cow, Adrian Peterson, healthy and ready to go. I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota doesn't look for a receiver as well. Michael Jenkins has been a disappointment, and Percy Harvin belongs in the slot. They need help in Minnesota. They're off to a good start tonight.
All right, so Minnesota has picked 4, and now we know the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the board because they traded up in-state with the Tampa Bay Bucks, who get the Jags' 4th-round pick. For the privilege of having the Jags move up 2 and the Bucks down 2. All the Florida teams have new coaches. All the Florida teams are picking in the top 8. So now here's the Jacksonville Jaguars. We just talked about Christian Ponder. Here are the Jags in year 2 with Blaine Gabbert as starting quarterback. New ownership. You heard Morton Adam mention. Mike Mularkey is the new head coach. Had been the head coach some years back with the Buffalo Bills. Coming over, he was the offensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons. They really have a team. They got a good defense in a lot of places. they have big-time trouble scoring points.
They need a receiver. Maurice Jones-Drew, 50% of their offense. That's unheard of. Their leading receiver last year was Mike Thomas. He had 44 catches. They went out and signed Laurent Robinson from the Cowboys. Nice addition. I'll be shocked if this isn't Justin Blackmon, the great receiver out of Oklahoma State. They have to get some weapons for Blaine Gabbert.
So the Jacksonville Jaguars obviously had their man in mind when they moved up, and we are, you know what? It's pretty fast and furious here once the two quarterbacks said hello and put on their caps. Hold on to your hats.
Tampa Bay has traded the 5th pick to Jacksonville. With the 5th pick in the 2012 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Justin Blackmon, wide receiver, Oklahoma State.
Well, it's Brandon Weeden's main go-to guy. Blackmon, 40 touchdowns in a little more than 2 years. 40 touchdown receptions for Oklahoma State. And you guys both know him. Is he the A.J. Green or Julio Jones talent of a year ago who went this high in the draft? He's a little different, but he's a guy that the ball is near. You're not getting it out of his hands, right?
You're not, Boom. He's not to the level of A.J. Green and Julio Jones, not as physically gifted. He's 6'1", about 207 to 210. Ran a 4.48, which is faster than a lot of people in the league thought he would run. They were thinking 4.55 for Justin Blackmon. You look at the highlights of Justin Blackmon, you're talking about a kid who was about the team. He's a we, he's an us guy. He's not an I and a me. You see that in the NFL, a lot of these diva receivers. He is not that guy. Talked to Mike Gundy, head coach at Oklahoma State, and he said, hey, Coach Des Bryant, Coach Justin Blackmon, Bryant has all the ability and all the talent you talk about. This kid was a little bit more complete. He'll block, he'll be a decoy, he'll do all the little things necessary. He'll catch the ball, big, strong hands. Justin Blackmon has. You'll give it a guy who does all the things you need from a route running standpoint. I never saw him get caught from behind. People were saying, well, he's a 4.6 guy, 4.55 with the pads on. He didn't get caught from behind. Then he ran that 4.48, which I think surprised a lot of people in the NFL. He'll be the power forward when he has to. He's certainly a guy that Brandon Weeden raved about through the draft process. That was his go-to option for Brandon Weeden. Keep in mind, Brandon Weeden's like a veteran NFL quarterback, so I think he knows who the big-time receiver is and isn't. He had a lot of confidence in this kid, made a ton of big catches, 111 catches as a junior, 121 catches as a senior. Guys, that's productivity.
They haven't had a receiver in Jacksonville like this since Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell hung up their cleats. Justin Blackmon is a go-to receiver. He did it in clutch situations, third down, red zone, 2 minute. Everybody in the country knew they had to stop Justin Blackmon. Couldn't do it. He can run after the catch. He's been consistently productive, 14 straight 100-yard games. The Jaguars have some balance now in their offense. They can hand it to Jones-Drew and stick it in his gut and pull it out of there on a play-action pass and throw it to somebody that can make a play. I like this pick a lot, and I like the guts they showed moving up to get their man.
I think the St. Louis Rams got to be sitting there being a little disappointed because they thought when they made that move going from 2 to 6, we'll get Sam Bradford, Justin Blackmon. Didn't happen.
Well, Minnesota was due to pick 3rd, they did not. Cleveland was due to pick 4th, they did not. Tampa Bay was due to pick 5th, they did not. But now St. Louis is due to pick 6th. Morton Adam, don't tell me again.
Boomer, and the Rams will not pick 6 because the Dallas Cowboys have traded into that spot, and it's pretty obvious when you think about the Cowboys' needs. They need more defensive backs. They signed Brandon Carr as a free agent, but here is Mo Claiborne sitting there. You have to believe that's going to be their guy. And why so many trades in the top 10? The rookie wage constraints that were negotiated in that new collective bargaining agreement a year ago. This time a year ago, we were in a lockout. This is the result of that.
And more, you're going to see a lot more trades. We see Dallas get its cornerback, an LSU cornerback, Morris Claiborne. Tampa Bay now sitting at 7. getting the player that it intended to take all along. Alabama safety Mark Barron looks like he's going to be a quarterback for Greg Schiano's defense. The Buccaneers were hoping that Dallas wouldn't take Barron. Barron looks like he'll be there for the Buccaneers at number 7, and a wild first